Okay, now I am joined in the studio by, certainly to start with, somebody whose name is very well known amongst the local music scene because Gyp Buggane records pretty much every band on the Isle of Man at Ballacroo Studios. Fast am I, Gyp?
Fast am I.
Kissed how?
Tammy Brow, Idler.
Well, we're not really here to talk about Ballacroo, but I take it you're still very busy at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, all good, thank you.
Well, there's something going on for you at the moment. Now, Gyp dropped me a message a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought this was fascinating. He said, so 13th Pillar group from... How long when did 13th Pillar get together, Gyp?
I think it's about 20 years.
About 20 years ago. You've got a new album out, so let's talk about that first, because I just think, putting something out, when was the last time you actually put something out?
They put out, before I was with them, they put out an album about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
For the 20 years, it's been a continuum.
Okay.
Carl Collins and Selwyn Collister are the main guys in the band. They write all the music. They get together every Thursday night and they write a song every Thursday night and have done for over 20 years.
They write a new song every Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday Night Music Club. That's amazing.
Yeah, so they've got literally hundreds of songs. And then they select their favourites and then we do them live a couple of times a year. I go in and play the bass lines and Brian Brough now is the drummer. And then we get together and play live. But because we've done a few live gigs in the last few years, we put the favourite songs together on an album.
How exciting. And vinyl.
And vinyl, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lovely orange vinyl.
Oh, how beautiful. I thought there'd be more groups on the island actually putting stuff out on vinyl. There's still not that many. Is it still quite prohibitively expensive then?
Yes. It is expensive to do. But, I mean, I think we're of an age or vintage that you want an artefact. You want something to say that you released an album, and if you only release it digitally, there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't actually feel like you've really released it.
Yeah.
So I know Selwyn and Carl, I guess, were really keen to have a proper vinyl. I mean, they did years and years ago, the first release 13th Pillar we did a split single, Risical Feck and 13th Pillar, a double 7-inch single.
I think I've got that actually.
Yeah, and then Selwyn did a single with his band Selwyn, a 7-inch single. And he also did a vinyl with Suicide High Life, which was the band he was in back in the day, as we'll speak about later. So he's always tried to do vinyl releases, which is great.
Yeah. Is it a whole different process then? If you're putting your sort of production hat on, it must be very different thinking about a release on vinyl than anything else.
I mean, it's the same process in that you master the material for the medium on which it's going to be delivered. So, but mastering for vinyl there's a few little extra things you have to do to make sure that the needle doesn't skip and everything, and you go through a process of getting a test pressing back to check and so on. So it's a little bit more convoluted than online, and you've got to kind of know what sounds good on vinyl, when you're mixing it to make it sound good. Otherwise, if you mix it in the way you'd mix a CD, it won't necessarily sound the best it could on vinyl. So there is a little bit, but it's not particularly more difficult, it's just different. Just
out of interest then, while we're on that front, because when you're listening to stuff on computer and phone, which loads of people do nowadays, do you also have to sort of do a mix with that? Because there's not much bass when you're listening on a computer or on your phone, really, is it? So do you have to consider that when you're mastering? Yeah, you do,
especially for phones. I mean, for a certain age group, that's predominantly how they listen, is on phones.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that all the low end, the bass and the kick drum translate and come through on these tiny little 1-inch, half-inch speakers, which is irritating because it's much better to listen to music on proper speakers, clearly, than listening to it on a phone. But if that's how people listen to it, then that's how you have to.
I suppose if that's what you've grown up with, as a lot of the kids now have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I sound really old.
Well, I am. You are. We are.
Well,
I don't mean you are. I mean, I was speaking to BONZ then when I said that.
Well, so we should introduce BONZ, really, a.k.a. Stephen Brown. BONZ, it's lovely to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
And you're here representing who?
Well, I'm representing the Psychedelic Rottweillers.
Such a good name for a group.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the Rottweillers.
Right, well, we started 35 years ago. Played for a couple of years, but we actually haven't played for 32 years now.
Oh my word.
So we're coming back with a gig in a couple of weeks, and at the station Port St Mary with 13th Pillar, so we're very honoured to have our comeback gig playing alongside these guys.
So I should ask them, why now? Why did you decide to come back now?
It's a difficult one. It originally started with myself and Lawrence Marsh, and he got a poster put up in the station Portsmouth of one of our old gigs we played back in Bushies, the original Bushies, many years ago, and I was raving about that, and Loz happened to be in the pub at the same time. I hadn't seen him for years, and I was just chatting to him saying, we never really finished the band, we just kind of fizzled out as such, and I said, it'd be great just to play one off again. He goes, yeah, I'd love to do that. And we said, right, let's do it then. We've kind of both got a bit of time on our hands now. And Ro, the landlady of the station, very kindly let us rehearse in there, and we've just been trying to get band members together and putting it back together again. So
is it the original lineup then?
No, the original lineup was one of the guys that works here, Matty Cunningham. He's our bass player.
Oh, Matty!
But he's too busy. You guys are keeping him way too busy.
Sorry.
And our original drummer was Rivy, Paul Riv. He lives across now, so he couldn't fly over just to rehearse with us, unfortunately. So we've got a new drummer. We actually haven't got a bass player, which is a bit weird, but it's still...
Are you listening, Gyp?
He's too busy.
He's got his other band on the go, it's fine. Can't find the time. It is difficult, isn't it? I mean, because you must have obviously had to sort of remind yourself of all the material. That must have been tricky.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, because it's all original stuff. We've written everything ourselves. Luckily, Gyp had a recording of us when we played in the Central way back in 1989 and 1990 or something, and so we gave that a listen and tried to make head and tail of it, and we were able to kind of put some of the lyrics together. I rewrote a lot of the words again just from what I could remember, and Lawrence was able to pick up the sort of riffs and the chords and that. So yeah, it came together, and we've got a new drummer in now. We've now got a sax player as well, which is brilliant to hear. It adds so much to it. So yeah, we're kind of excited about doing it.
It's cool. Well, I don't think we've got any recordings, have we, of Psychedelic Rottweillers? So
not yet.
I'm guessing psychedelic is a bit of a clue, is it, to the genre?
It's hard to describe what we do. I mean, it is of a psychedelic element. I mean, our guitarist Lars is very influenced by Syd Barrett, but also the Stooges. So there's a lot of that in. I mean, my influences are far and wide from folk music. I love the Unthanks, one of my favourites.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen them so many times.
Did you see them at the Gaiety?
I did.
It was special, wasn't it? And Centenary, yeah.
And I went to their festival, and I'm off to see them in December for their winter festival. So yeah, but I also, Spaceman 3 and The Fall. There's a complete mixture of stuff. So very influenced by a lot of different things that I try to put into the songs. So the music, I suppose it is primarily psychedelic, but there is gentler bits, the softer bits. So it's a nice round mixture. I don't know. Gyp's heard us. I don't know what you can add to it.
You do some spoken word stuff as well, don't you?
Yeah,
some poetry.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. So I mean, in the intervening years, I did quite a bit of Amdram. So I do sort of poetry. We've kind of got one of the songs, we've got a bit of James Joyce in there, and another one we've got some Keats in there. So, and then I've written some bits myself in there. So it's a nice mixture.
This sounds like a brilliant and unique evening, I have to say.
It is.
And as you mentioned, it is alongside the 13th Pillar crew as well. Now, we do have some music with us, Gyp, from 13th Pillar. We've got two songs. We've got Dig Your Own Grave and Break My Bones from this new album, this lovely vinyl. When is it actually going to be out? Is it going to be available at the gig?
It's out.
It's out now. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, so it's available in Sound Records and the Bridge Book Shop and Brian's Record Emporium in Port St Mary. Probably other places, but I can't remember.
Isn't it great now that we've got these record stores where
Brilliant.
you can? It's just so good. They're sort of popping up all over the place, which is fab. So from that album, 13th Pillar's brand new album, we're going to hear Dig Your Own Grave now, and then we'll chat more with my studio guest, with BONZ and Gyp, after this.
spark, holding grudges as I lie in the dark, listing the crimes of my so-called friends, plotting revenge on myself. I'm reading a good book, it's a classic called Dig Your Own Grave, Dig Your Own Grave. I'm reading a good book, it's a classic called Dig Your Own Grave, Dig Your Own I'm reading a good book, it's a classic called Dig Your Own Grave, Dig Your Own Grave. I'm reading a good book, it's a classic called Dig Your Own Grave, Dig Your Own Grave. I'm reading a good book, it's a classic called Dig Your Own Grave.
That was Dig Your Own Grave from the new release by 13th Pillar. I've got to be so careful how I say this. Pieces Missing. I just had to go off air there, Gyp, and it nearly came out very differently, didn't it? It's definitely called Pieces Missing, which is available now on vinyl, orange vinyl, from all your good record stores all around the island, so you can get it there. But there is this gig fast approaching. Gyp, just remind us when and where the gig is.
25th of November at the Railway Station Hotel in Port St Mary.
Which is a lovely little venue, isn't it?
It is, it's great. Ria Rose, great, the landlady. She's great for putting bands on. And it's somewhere where original bands can play as well, doing original material, which is great. Yeah, we have good nights down there when there's stuff on. There was a gig on, and we had Dusty Plankton on Saturday night for a friend's birthday, and it was heaving. It was great. It was really good.
Good crowds.
Yeah, it's great.
Good to know.
It does south.
Yeah, it does seem like, because BONZ, obviously you've been kind of out of the scene for some while, so coming back into it again, how healthy do you think it is at the moment from what you know?
I'm amazed how good it is, because I go back to, like I say, the Bushies days when, you know, everyone really supported each other, and it was such a wonderful
then,
scene.
wasn't it?
You know, you could be a punk, a goth, a hippie, a rocker, but we all supported each other and helped each other, and it was a fantastic scene then. Although I drifted away from it for 30 odd years, I still had half an ear on it and thought it seemed to have lost it. But now, you know, with like the Manx Punks and people like that, it's brilliant seeing what they're doing. And it seems to be the real enthusiasm's back again, and you know, it's just great to see.
Yeah, so many young people playing.
Yeah, being a cynical old man, I'm loving what I'm seeing, sort of thing, you know.
You don't come across as cynical to me. Has it been a bit of a nervous kind of practice getting back into it then?
Incredibly, especially as it's our own stuff we're doing, you know, words I've written. It really makes you feel incredibly nervous. I am very nervous about the gig itself, you know. I will enjoy it, but I know beforehand I won't be able to hold a pint, let's put it like that.
And you kind of hinted that you said it was maybe just a one-off gig. Is this going to be...
Well, originally we thought we'd do it as one-off just to finish the band, but we've actually been asked by Mad Daddy to support them 2 weeks later on December the 9th at Port St Mary Town Hall. They've got a gig on down there, and they've asked us, so we're going to play that one. And then because the rehearsals have been going so well and we've been loving it, and we've started writing new songs, and you know, we've got a lot of ideas for new songs. We're going to carry it on, hopefully, into the new year, and who knows, maybe one day record with somebody that's sat very near me. Maybe
so
one day.
Exciting.
But yeah, we're certainly going to carry it on for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
If
That's
if
brilliant.
people will have us.
I'm sure they will. So obviously that's Psychedelic Rottweillers playing with 13th Pillar. I do need to ask you both about your firsts, because we're doing this now. This is a thing, and it's a really nice way of finding out about people's sort of love of music and what sort of inspired them over the years, and just to give other people an idea of what they should maybe check out that they haven't yet musically. So Gyp, come on then, we'll come to you first then. So what was the first record or single that you bought, album or single that you bought, and what format was it in?
First single, 7-inch single, was Elvis Costello, Oliver's Army.
Good choice.
Which I still like. It's still a great tune. And I remember one of the things I remember about it, I really like the A-side, it's a big pop tune, but the B-side, he did a version of My Funny Valentine, which wasn't a song I knew at the time.
Do you know, I think I've heard that. I've heard that, yeah.
It was very different, it was very slow, and it showed a whole new side to his voice and stuff, and I remember that being quite a formative thing, just noticing that this artist could do two different things.
Yeah, and then you hear something like Shipbuilding and you think, oh my goodness.
Fantastic tune.
Yeah.
And the first album was Blondie, Parallel Lines. Same year, 1978.
These are too cool. I love it when you get people who are like super cool young groups and they say, well, actually, it was Spice Girls was the first one I bought. Okay, then come on then, Bonds, fess up. What was the first album or single you bought, and what format was it?
Well, probably the first album, this is where it's not cool, it was actually probably a Shakin' Stevens album, I'd imagine. I can't remember what it was called or anything. First single I really remember buying, again, it was probably a rock and roll one, but I can't remember. And the one I remember was the Boomtown Long Tails.
Yeah.
Someone's looking at, yeah.
And did you both was this on the island that you both know? Yeah, it was. So do you remember which shops you bought them in out of interest?
Yeah, Music Box.
I was going to say Music Box.
Music Box.
Yeah.
Or Colburn's, it might be Colburn. I think it was the
mine
Music
was definitely
Box.
Music Box.
Yeah. It was always either Woolies or Shocks for me. Those were the two.
Two record shops in Port Erin in those days.
Yeah.
Two? Oh, my word. Still you can get your records in Bridge Bookshop, so it's all right.
That's great.
So that's good. Those are both good shouts. All good shouts there. What about the first gig you saw, Bonds? Do you remember? Sorry, Gyp. Do you remember what that was? The first, like your big gig you went to?
I mean, I went to lots of gigs on the Isle of Man, but the first, which were all great. I mean, the first one of note on the Isle of Man that really blew me away was a band called the Bastarnados in Bushies in 1987, I think, which is Lawrence from Psychedelic Rottweillers. It was the band he was in at the time with Raz and Carl and Gordon and John, and they were playing all stuff like the Stooges and the New York Dolls and stuff I'd never heard, and it completely changed my life. It was a life-changing experience. My first off-island gig was the Wedding Present at the Ritz in Manchester.
Oh my word, what a great first gig.
Which was great. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, the Membranes supported John Robb's band, which was really good. But the Wedding Present, I was really into the Wedding Present at the time, and it just blew me away. To be when you were from the Isle of Man at the time and you were into alternative music, you knew a handful of other people who were into it, and then you went to a gig and there's 1,000 people there and everyone knows every word. I'm sure it's an experience lots of people have, but it was, I was never going to go back after that. It was gigs for the rest of my life. I loved it.
That is a lovely thing to say, because I think we're sort of coming back round to that age now where it seems now, because of the advent of streaming, which can be seen as a very, very negative thing, but a very positive thing about it is that young people are experiencing every possible genre of music, aren't they? It's available to them like that. And so actually you get less of a separation between genres. You tend to get people liking all kinds of stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say a lot about streaming that I don't like, but
me too.
But on the plus side, I mean, you can listen to any song that's ever been made by anyone ever, whenever you want. I mean, that's got to be a good thing. And
sort of instant recommendations. I do still love the idea of just chatting down the pub and people saying, have you heard this? That's more my kind of thing, but it does have its positives. Yeah, it does. All right then, Bonds, what was the first gig you remember going to?
I mean, obviously, I was with Gyp probably at the Bastarnados gig, but I think before that, over here was probably the Black Riders, Chris Lamb, I can't remember the rest of the group, but a rock band over here back in the day. Across, to be honest, probably the first one I went to across was the Donington Rock Festival.
Oh, so you saw loads of people.
Yeah, it's when Guns N' Roses were just starting to become big, and they played mid-afternoon, so that was quite to see them. I mean, they were fantastic at that time because they were still young, and so good. And we had Kiss and Iron Maiden and Megadeth and that playing. So it was again, coming
Some
from
of
a
the
small
biggest
island
names in
to go
rock.
to
Yeah.
a festival that had more people than lived on the Isle of Man was quite, wow, this is
Yeah.
crazy, But no, it's good. And then the following year, going to the infamous Reading '89 that we were both at, which is, to me, the best lineup of music ever. You could never surpass that.
Not surpassed since I can imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of those ones that loads people's sight, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
just the pinnacle, really.
Absolutely.
What about, do you remember the first gig that you performed yourself?
Well, I think, with the Rottweillers, it would have been, I think it was the Broadway pub in Douglas in probably 88 or 89. So, yeah, probably 89. I'm pretty sure it was there.
Yeah.
Because it's the first gig, we didn't have a drummer. We had a drum machine. Didn't have a clue what we were doing. It's completely out of time with us. Or we were out of time with it. Who knows? But then we thought, yeah, we really need a drummer.
Were you there for that one, Gyp?
I would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, we used to support each other. Whoever had gigs on, no matter who you were, from
Yeah.
Bushes, we all went out
Yeah.
and supported each other.
Such a lovely scene. What about you, Gyp? What was your first gig?
It would have been with a band called, I'm trying to remember what we were called at that point. I think we were called Love Blood. We were a punk-ish band. It was me, Matty Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's all very interchangeable. Rivy, who was in Psychedelic Rottweillers original, and Steve Goldsmith, who does lots of poetry on the island. He was singing. I think that was it. Who was in the band? And we did a gig at the Garden Room at the Villa Marina, and we were at best chaotic.
That's a good thing to be. That is a good thing
and we
to
weren't
be.
asked back.
Oh, no.
Which didn't surprise us in the slightest.
They're more used to the guild in the garden room.
Yeah.
Well, those are lovely memories. Well, we're going to come back in a minute. We're going to talk to you about artists that you would like to recommend. But let's hear more music now from 13th Pillar, from the new album. We've got this track now called Break My Bones. So we'll hear that, and then we'll chat more with Gyp and BONZ after this.
See how far I can push before I break my bones and smash up my home. Take too much to drink and drive myself insane. Then I'll start all over again. Break my bones, 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 break my bones. Break my bones. I push you to the edge to see how much you can take before you break my bones and turn me to stone. Love to show me hate and show me again. Give me a reason for this shame. Break my bones, 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 break my bones. Break my bones, 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 break my bones.
So if you just tuned in, we are chatting with Gyp, who's representing 13th Pillar today, and we're also chatting to BONZ, who's representing the Psychedelic Rottweillers, getting together for a very special gig. Fast approaching, Gyp. Remind us where and when this gig is.
It's at the Railway Station Hotel in Port St Mary on November the 25th. And I should add as well, there's another band playing called Secret Gig, and there's a DJ, Pip, who runs the Air and Arts Centre, who's a DJ of some renown. He's playing.
And what sort of stuff can we expect from Secret Gig? Music. It's a secret. Very good, Bonds. We'll leave it at that. Just for the mystery of it, we'll leave it at that. I'm sure there'll be ace though anyway. So it's going to be an awesome night, and talk about reforming after 32 years, is it,
Indeed,
Bonds?
yes, 32 years, we're back.
Yeah, no pressure or anything.
No,
It'll be
not
fine.
at all.
Don't be nervous. It's all good. Well, listen, there's one thing I've not asked you both yet for your firsts, and I want to know who would be the first artist or act that you would recommend to others. So it's sort of, who's your kind of go-to then, Bonds? Who would that be?
It's without a doubt the Spaceman 3.
What is it about Spaceman 3?
They're just the music it's just hypnotic. I just love that they do an album called The Perfect Prescription, and it's the perfect album from start to finish. You just can't go wrong. You get lost in it, you listen to it, and you're off in a different world. It's a beautiful album and just fantastic music. Until you hear it, I can't really describe what it does to me. You know, it really is. It's an emotional roller coaster. I love it.
When you listen to it, you kind of set the mood in the room as well.
I like to listen to it on headphones with eyes closed, so I'm just there in the music. I don't want to be disturbed. I don't want anything else. I can't listen to it in the car, you know, because I wouldn't know where I was.
And interestingly, Gyp, I think that's someone that you love as well, isn't it, Spaceman 3?
Yeah, a massive Spaceman 3 fan. I mean, we both saw Spaceman 3's last ever gig together back in 1989. The first time we'd seen them, and it was their last ever gig. And then I went on, well, Spaceman 3 split it into two factions. So you had Sonic Boom, who went on to do experimental audio research, and various other bands, and Jason Pierce, who went on to form Spiritualized.
Spiritualized, of course, yeah.
Who are probably the band I've seen more than any other.
Yeah.
So it's a long-term love affair.
Oh, and what album would you recommend to someone who's not experienced Spaceman 3 before? Or record?
For Spaceman 3, well, if you've said Perfect Prescription, I'd go with Sound of Confusion, just because it's full of beautiful noise.
Yeah. And it's by the sound of things, you know, if Bonds was saying listen on your headphones, then presumably the production's really key on it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's immersive music. It's not easy listening, if you know what I mean. It's music to dive in, you know, because I mean one of the tracks on Sound of Confusion, Roller Coaster, I think it's about 25 minutes long, isn't it? It's one chord.
Sorry? I mean, that's not selling it to me, sorry.
No, it's not for everyone, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's probably just us. But I
was going to say, even One Note Samba isn't just one note.
Yeah, I mean, John Peel famously played, that's where I first heard them, on John Peel's show, and he he put it on and then just put all the records on in between and just kept putting it, going back and going, oh yeah, they're still playing.
Only John Peel could get away with that. Oh, that's fantastic. But okay, but you've been beaten to the run really, yes, with Spaceman 3, because Bonds has already chosen it. So let's have a choice from you then, if you're going to recommend an artist.
If I recommend something that isn't so well known, Neutral Milk Hotel are the one that do it for me. Yeah. They're one of my special bands. They only did 2 albums. The one that gets most applauded is In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. And how do you describe it? I mean, it's a world of its own. It's a universe of its own. Jeff Mangum, the singer, was a big part of a record label called Elephant Six, who had numerous bands that were... I wouldn't call it a psychedelic scene in America, but it was like a jangly 60s sort of scene, and Neutral Milk Hotel were his band, and they're fraught with problems. I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong with the band, and it's a great story to read about, but the music is it's otherworldly. He wrote it about Anne Frank loosely. It's a concept album about her story, but the lyrics are incredibly surreal and dreamy, and once you've learnt the words, it becomes very obsessive. People who love that album are truly evangelical about it. It's like it's the only album that's like that album. So I'd recommend anyone who's kind of loosely into alternative music and songwriting to listen to it because it's an incredible piece of work.
Oh, do you know what? I'm definitely going to check it out because it is getting to a point nowadays. It does sort of almost feel like everything's been done. So to find a record that is so different is going to be a breath of fresh air. So I mean, I know some of the stuff, but I have never listened to a full album. So I'm going to go check that one out. Many thanks for the recommendation. Well, it has been lovely chatting to you both. Fascinating. And I'm super excited for your gig.
Thank you.
Bonds, may this be the first of many more Psychedelic Rottweillers gigs.
Let's hope it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank
We'll
you.
keep us posted on it. And yeah, get yourselves down there. It's sure to be a good one. Where can we get the vinyl again for 13th Pillar, Gyp?
Sound Records in Douglas from Jack and Ed, or Brian's record shop in Port St Mary, or the Bridge Bookshop. It may be available other places, someone hasn't told me, but they're the ones I know about.
Basically, look for a flash of orange.
Or meet Selwyn in South Burrell car park and he'll give you a copy.
I love
There
you
is
for
a story
that one.
behind that, but I'll just leave it
I
at
think
that.
leave it there, exactly. Thanks so much, guys, and all the best for the future.
Cheers. Thanks.